I think you're on mute, Foots.
Now that's embarrassing. That's super embarrassing. I was literally doing the intro, and then sure enough, I wasn't saying anything. But Joe, happy to have you on the channel. We're gonna do a cool topic today. First of all, how you doing, Joe?
We're doing real good, bro. It's the off season, but now football is starting to make its way back, man. I'm pumped for it.
Yeah, and as we let people get in here on the YouTube side, and you guys can go back and watch this. For those of you guys who don't know, Joe and I really make our bones throughout the draft season, right? And shout out to everybody getting in here. April, I see you, girl. Talk Your Talk Media, JP. And so now throughout the off season is where this isn't for the casuals, as Skywalker still would say. Like I said, me and Joe, we made our bones throughout the draft, Joe. And I don't think people understand just how much work
Yeah.
it is, right, Joe?
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a nonstop grind, to be sure.
Yeah. You're grinding out tape, you're looking at prospects, you're getting to know on the Cowboys and then on other teams, and just trying to get a better feel for the league. And then hey, everybody joining, coming on in. And so at this point, you're kind of like, you know what I mean? Like you're drained. And then you start to get the juices rolling again, and you start to get into a rhythm. That being said, Joe, we got a cool topic today. Now, OTAs are amongst us, right? But one thing I want you guys to know about me and Joe is while we will be watching, we're not gonna go crazy on seeing these guys run around in shorts and shirts. We'll cover it. We'll kind of try to see, little details that we can get, but we're not gonna go crazy, are we, Joe?
Right. That's how it should be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It'll keep us from getting heartbroken later in the year.
Yeah. And we, we don't want to be like the Cowboys fans, like, oh no, we just, we don't have any faith in this team. They're gonna let us down. No, it's not that. It's you don't want to get too high, you don't want to get too low.
Yeah, that's all it is.
You start just going crazy. Now, the truth of the matter is the roster is really good, right? The roster is, I think, is exceptional, but they still got to go out, play football, be injury free, and we'll kind of talk about some of that now. Before we get started, I got a few shout outs. One of my homies at work, him and his wife are fans of the channel, so I want to give her a shout out. Kamaya, Ahmad, and Daron. Shout out to y'all just for showing love. Joe, they're fans of us. They're fans of the Cowboys YouTube community. So I just want to give a shout out to y'all. Anybody in the nation who shows us love, we're going to always show you love. So shout out to you, Kamaya. Shout out to you, Daron. All right, here we go. Joe, the 10 most important Cowboys on this team. Chat box, you guys pop in. Let me know what y'all think. How we're going to do this is, so John Machota wrote a great article, and on The Athletic, if you guys have The Athletic, go check it out. It's the 10 Cowboys that are under the biggest microscope. But I said, well, these are probably the 10 most important Cowboys on the team. And so what we'll do, Joe, is we'll either agree or disagree with this list. I think it's a fairly good list. Okay. I kind of have some players that I disagree with, but we'll talk about it. So number 10, he goes Brandon Cooks. And to me, Joe, I would have to say I agree with this is number 10. Here's why. Last year, the offense sputtered at times, not having a true number 2. Noah Brown, I liked it. He finally got his quote-unquote opportunity. But there were just times where there was just no separation. The Jacksonville game comes back to just like, no. Him and Hendershot. I actually rewatched that game. Him and Hendershot, that Jacksonville and that Tennessee game for Hendershot. It was like, I don't know. You know what I mean? And so, what do you thought? What are your thoughts about the level of importance on Brandon Cooks, Joe?
Yeah, I mean he's pretty important. I feel like all the receivers are important, but you lose him, I mean, man, really, if you lose any of your starting wide receivers, the depth I feel is kind of not really there, man. You know what I mean? So you got CeeDee Lamb, Cooks, Gallup. Outside of that, you got you got to figure out the other ones, man. The other three, I think you got to say. So yeah, Cooks, you can't lose him, man. You definitely can't lose him. He can play the slot. He can play on the outside. Pretty versatile. I think he's a good fit for this West Coast type of offense that we were expecting. McCarthy and Schottenheimer to roll out this year.
Yeah, and I think that it's crazy because you thought that it's clear Michael Gallup wasn't healthy.
Yeah.
And it's clear that Michael Gallup is a possession receiver. He can't really separate like he once was. Now it's interesting because he's a fast player, right, Joe?
Yeah.
But the separation part of it. So if you can get Brandon Cooks to just give you some of that, if he can be T.Y. Hilton's upgrade, then I think you're good. The one who I don't think that they've given up on, I think that Dak likes is Jalen Tolbert, and rightfully so. You gave Kelvin Joseph every opportunity as a second-round pick, third-round pick area. You gave all these guys who are threes these opportunities. So I think that Jalen Tolbert will get a shot. I don't know, guys like Semi Fayoko, I don't know where they stand on this roster. And then obviously, it was times like, last year, again, training camp buzz, everybody was hyped for Dennis Houston. Well, the truth is there was a reason why he was, back half of the, draft, or what was he undrafted? The fact is the NFL level is just a different level, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, Brandon Cooks has the skins on the wall. He comes in, and he is important. All right, number 9. This is one that I disagree with because I think he's higher. He should be higher. But let me get your thoughts in chat box's thoughts on Tyler Smith. He's number 9. To me, Joe, and I think we kind of have the same tune, and I want to get your thoughts. I think that Tyler Smith is top 5, and here's why. Year 2, let's see less holding. Let's see less, little goofy ticky-tack penalties. But he is like a stud to me. At tackle. He needs to stay at tackle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Joe?
No, I'm with that, man. The whole thing this offseason is the best 5 and this and that. Well, your best 5, how long is that gonna last? Well, you have the it's kind of a divisive conversation because you have the people that says, "Oh, well, just go with the 5 until he gets hurt," but then you're gonna be shuffling again. We got to get out of that shuffling business, man. That's killing the offense, killing the running game. Dak doesn't like that either. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, I'm with you. Tyler Smith, definitely top 5 guys on this team. I mean, he's a big guy. This guy's huge. I mean, you saw him next to Mozzie Smith, who's a huge guy, and he still looks like a big dude, man. So
yeah,
I mean, these ends, these guys, these rushers, they have their hands full when they go up against Tyler Smith. You need that imposing force on the outside. So I'm hoping that they figure it out, man, and that he is the left tackle here.
Yeah, one of the talking points around Cowboys Twitter family is that, hey, Tyler Smith right now is better than Tyler Smith. And Joe, I want to give us credit for, I won't say breaking that news, but kind of being on top of it. Like, listen, I think that we're thinking that this is 2014 Tyler Smith, and it's just not.
Exactly.
I mean, and it's just not. And that's just the truth of it. And so with Tyler Smith, I think that he can be an all-pro left tackle. I truthfully believe that. I think that he'll continue to work. He was able to see Tyron Smith work up close and personal. And I just think that when you talk about a guy who is going to be the cornerstone of your offensive line moving forward, I just don't want to keep shuffling him. Zach is getting up there in the tooth. He hasn't dropped off at all. I mean, Zach and Tyron are different because Zach, and Tyron's a lot older than Zach, but Zach could easily play another 5 years and be fine. He just hasn't shown any drop off, Joe. It seems like he's getting better. But Tyron, And I agree with you. I don't subscribe to this thinking of, well, let's just play him until it goes bad because, well, okay, he's taking up reps or he's not letting somebody else develop. So that's just kind of tricky to me. But that'll be one that we pay close attention to. All right, number 8 was Tyler Biadasz. And Joe, he goes under the radar, but I agree with this one because I didn't know that Zach was older than Tyron. Excuse me. When was Zach drafted, Joe?
2014.
And when was Tyron drafted?
2011.
But you know what? You know what it is?
Tyron was like 20 when he came in.
He was a lot like Tyler Smith. He was young. Yeah. And that's why they extended him. Okay, thank you, Ivan. Thank you for that. And that's right, because Zach went to that Senior Bowl and was battling with Aaron Donald.
That was a battle, bro.
I'll
never forget it, bro. I remember you and I talking about that.
You and I, that's how long we've been talking. That's how long me and Joe have been talking football.
Some classic conversations right there, man. What a battle that was.
Dude, dang, Joe, we've been, wow.
Right? Good stuff, bro. Good stuff, man.
Okay, so Tyler Biadasz. Joe, I don't want to bury the lead with Biadasz. What are your just overall thoughts on Tyler Biadasz?
I mean, he's offensive lineman that needed to work himself to where he's at, and you've seen the progression.
And he's done it, yeah, right?
He's done the progression. That's what you want to see from your players. You want to see those leaps, and that now, he's got a Pro Bowl under his belt now, so he's got a little bit of leverage there, I guess you could say. But I mean, he's playing good football. This is a player that if you lose him, well. You're gonna have a drop off now because Biadasz, he's locked in. He's got the NFL body now. He's not getting pushed around like he was his first year. That's another guy that the Cowboys are gonna have to figure out how to sign him. So yeah, he's definitely an integral part of the offense and what this team's gonna do this year.
Yeah, Joe. I think that Biadasz, I don't think that he'll ever be Travis Frederick. Yeah. But I like what Troy Dudley's saying. Badass has gotten better every year. Absolutely, Troy.
Yeah.
I just think that he's playing clean football right now. Center, the thing about Biadasz is he's not really imposing. Not a big guy. But I tell you what, moves well. Snaps are great. Doesn't get a lot of penalties. You never see him just getting completely obliterated. Right? And I think that you hit it on the head, Joe. He's developed every year. So I definitely do like him at number 8 there. That makes a lot of sense. Shout out to everybody in the chat box. Show him some love. Oh, you know what, Joe? April just shouted it out, and I forgot to do it. Dang it, Joe. But I'm going to do it. Thank you, April, for the $30 super chat. We passed 30K on here. I've been grinding. I don't even –
That's big. That's Bigfoot's.
And you know what, Joe? It's a blessing because guess what? I wouldn't rather have had it with anybody else but you because me and you've been talking for years and it's just organic and so thank you, April. Me and Joe, man, if we could do this full time, we get some backing behind us. We'd love to because we got a true fan base. I mean, a true solid family base. And that's all that we need, and that's in you guys. April says, I look at Tolbert as a redshirt year last year, 2023. O-line is sneaky, but not a flood. Yeah, I agree, April, 100%. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, April.
And thank you, everybody in the chat box, man. I'm going to give you guys prayer hands just for subscribing and sending us around, and we hit 30K on the channel.
Good. That's amazing, Foots. Congrats, bro.
Thank you, brother. Number 7, Leighton Vander Esch. This one is interesting, Joe. I'll take this one. I do think that that's a good fit for Leighton. Here's why. This team has made a clear emphasis to say we're going to try to stop the run. We're going to be more physical. And I think that Leighton has to have a big year, Joe, in order for you to be successful.
Yeah.
I think that Dan Quinn is kind of funny, Joe, because you listen to Dan Quinn and Dan Quinn says, well, Micah's not going to play full-time, man. But I do think that they don't want to have Micah at back. I think they want to let him rush the passer. And so Overshown, Leighton, Jamal Clark, Jabril Cox, if he ever can get on the field. I think the middle of that defense is where my eyes are going this year, Joe. What are your thoughts about
Yeah.
Leighton Vander Esch?
Well, I mean, it's an interesting conversation because Cowboys, if you look at the last couple of seasons, going back to Leighton, they've actually invested a lot at the linebacker position. They've invested a lot of draft capital there with, all the names that you just named off, pretty much. So
Yeah.
for me, Leighton Vander Esch has been a good little keep here on an
Yeah.
affordable
Yeah.
price.
Yeah.
And the only thing that's ever been his issue was the health. But I mean, he's a lot like Sean Lee, to be honest. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
um, Sean Lee's still one of the goats for me. Love
Yeah.
how I love how he played it. Very cerebral football player. I think with Vander Esch, he's just a bigger guy, a lot bigger than Sean Lee. But he's that type of player that if he's not on the field, you're gonna miss the presence there. So when he's healthy, he's one of those when healthy kind of guys. But I think he's been holding up here a lot better than his early on. So um, integral part for sure. If you lose him, then you're really going down the totem pole on next man up. But good player, man. I'm glad that they've been able to keep him around
Yeah.
without breaking the bank. I think that's the key here for that.
Yeah. So like, I think he trended the right way last year, Joe. And it's interesting because his career arc has been like very interesting. Like, and you guys can talk about this in the chat, but like Joe, year one was like really good for Leighton.
Yeah.
Remember?
Oh yeah.
I
Yep.
remember his rookie year. He's chasing down plays in the Philly game and all that type of stuff, Joe. You're like, wow. But then he kind of. Do you think that was injury based, Joe, or was that like he kind of tailed off, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely injury based, and then he had the cleanup in the neck. We found that
Yeah,
out. And
yeah.
now
They
he's
try to
got
sneak that, right?
he had the brace on for a good part of that season, and now he's looking back, man. He's looking pretty good right now.
Yeah, and Leighton is a constant pro. I don't think he's quite as good as Sean Lee. Sean Lee was really good when he was healthy, like
Mm-hmm.
game wrecking. I'll never forget
Oh yeah,
when
he always showed up against the Giants, man. I loved it.
dude, the Giants in Philly. I'll never forget when he played against DeMarco Murray. He made every tackle that game. I mean, the dude was born to play football. And I think Leighton has some of that too. Another thing is this. Sean Lee is like a today type linebacker. Leighton is, linebackers just don't look like Leighton Vander Esch anymore unless they're like just going to be strictly a Mike. Leighton Vander Esch looks like Brian Urlacher.
Right.
Linebackers just don't look like that anymore. They look, they're probably between 220 and 240. Leighton's 260.
Yeah.
The movement isn't bad, but you don't want him, chasing too much because that's just not his game. So it's just kind of Sean Lee was the true, like somebody said, the general. A funny story about Zach Martin and Sean Lee. I bet you people don't remember. This is how I knew that Zach Martin would be a stud. Remember when he hurt Sean Lee for the year, Joe?
Yeah, I remember that.
OTAs, knock on wood. Let's pray nothing like that happens.
Yeah, I remember that. Man.
But remember that, Joe?
Oh yeah, dude. It was like, oh.
They were like he was being too physical, and he literally hurt Sean Lee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he tore his MCL, ACL, whatever it was. So, okay, moving right along. Number 6 is Zach Martin, and I have a problem with this on this list because I think that he's more important than people give him credit for. He would probably be in my top 5, but I guess I can't be too mad because 5, 6, that makes sense, Joe. We kind of already touched on Zach Martin, but just give me a few more thoughts on Zach Martin.
I mean, this guy's. They might as well just go ahead and he might as well be the first current player to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Like this guy has like back to back All Pro season, first team All Pros. I mean, he might be one of the best draft picks of the Cowboys ever. I mean, he's going to be up there in hollow territory with some of the best that have ever donned the star. So. Yeah, man, a very important part of this offensive line, no doubt. You know, you don't have to worry about the right side with him over there. You know, lockdown. You know what I mean? Yeah, he's gonna like any other player. He'll miss a play here and there, but he's gonna lock it down for a good part of the game and the whole season. Pretty durable, you know. So
Yeah, no, you hit it on Zach. I think one of the cool things about a player like Zach Martin is hearing him talk football. Is one of the more interesting things, right, Joe? Like when you hear him talk about, you know, like even the O-line coaches that they've had. Like this year they'll have Solari. They had who they have last year? They had the Dolphins old head coach.
no, Philbin.
They had Philbin, who initially wasn't even on board with Tyler Smith, and Philbin kind of did some nice things with that offensive line last year. Now he's obviously out, but and then like I remember Paul Alexander, who that was just a disaster. You know, and I never forget Zach Martin just coming out saying, you know, right now we just don't know what we're doing. and it's kind of funny because when you hear Paul Alexander talk, you're like, yeah, nah, I see why y'all don't know what you're doing. Paul's all over the place. But the point is, Zach has been able to survive all these people, all these different offenses, and he's just been Mr. Consistent, doesn't get hurt. He, you know, him and Travis were like two peas in a pod. So, but nah, yeah, Joe, I think that 5, 6, whatever. All right, number 5, they went Trayvon Diggs. Now, here's where I say I would probably have Diggs more. So Diggs is interesting for me because he's really good, but I don't know if he's a lockdown corner. Does that make sense, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, lockdown corner. That's like
It's
I think
subjective, right?
yeah, that's for like your number one. And I don't know that the league has a lockdown right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
There's no Darrell Reeves.
there's a lot of really good cornerbacks right now, but there's no like Dion. There's no Revis. You know that upper echelon top 1% type of guy out there. So yeah, uh, Trayvon I think I think he's underrated, man. I
You think
honestly
so?
I think that people are not. I mean, you saw it in the offseason. I think people just got really pissed off in that San Francisco game and did. But when you look at his overall, you know, work, it's been solid. You know, he's always getting the ball. He's always looking to get the
Yeah.
ball. You know what I mean? Not the perfect player, but I mean he'll go in there and he'll play the run. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I talked about him in my comparison with Byron Jones. I said I'd take Trayvon over Byron Jones all day long, man.
7 days
You
out of
know?
the week.
Yeah. So I'm glad he's on the Cowboys right now. And now the interesting part is figuring out that contract. I think is going to be
That's where,
very
yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that Dallas will do right by him. Dallas signs their own. So the ones that they got coming up that are going to be big are going to be CeeDee. Got to get CeeDee done. I would probably try to extend CeeDee yesterday. Got to get Diggs done. You got to get Micah done.
Got a lot of big
Huge.
artillery you gotta
Yeah.
keep, man. But yeah,
Yeah.
man, because Trayvon, if you lose Trayvon, you're down to Gilmore, and then hoping do you slide Gilmore over? Do you go Deron Bland? Do you go? You know what I
Bland.
mean? Then it
Yeah.
becomes
Gets
a
tricky.
yeah, it does. Yeah, so
It gets tricky. Yeah, yeah. It's a good problem to have having both of those guys, Gilmore and that was Dallas's. I really liked it. And I really was gonna put Stephon Gilmore on this list because cornerback 2 hurt us at times.
oh, for sure.
Jacksonville
Yeah, oh
comes
my
to
god,
mind.
it really did.
Times versus Philly.
Yep.
To be able to have a Stephon Gilmore on the other side of Diggs. Well, now what are you gonna do? What are teams gonna do, Joe? With this pass rush, with the way that we plan on attacking a run. So that's going to be interesting, Joe, because having both of those guys, I think the teams will still take their shots at Gilmore, but you better be careful because Gilmore can get you. He got Dak this year, and he's on a better roster now. So I
Yeah.
think the Cowboys defense is better than the Colts defense. I don't think that we're breaking news there. So
Oh yeah.
That'll be interesting. Because if you ask me, excuse me, guys, it's tired of me and Joe going late night. If you ask me, that was that move, and maybe we'll rate the free agency signings. That move, the Gilmore move and the Cooks move, said Dallas is going all in, right? And I feel like this is the right way to go about things, Joe. I really do. All right, number 4 for is CeeDee Lamb. Machoda put CeeDee Lamb on his list. Number 4 is most important. I would actually put him. I would probably put him 3 and switch him with the third person, only because I have an affection for CeeDee Lamb that I see top 3 potential in the league with Lamb, Joe.
No doubt.
And the reason why I say that is we saw the route running improve last year.
Yeah.
So now it's just not the freakish athleticism, it's the route running. Now you cooking with grease, right, Joe?
Yeah, he's putting in the work, man. It's I think it was really good for him to get his feet wet with Amari Cooper here. I think that helped out a lot, man. I really do. I think that really sped up the timetable, and that's why they were able to do what they did. As much as a lot of fans hated, jettison Amari Cooper, I think that they saw the development very quickly with CeeDee Lamb. And if you were to do a redraft of that 2020 draft, CeeDee Lamb's not going to make it to us. That's 7. He's going to go higher. Him and Justin Jefferson, they would be both probably in the top 10 draft. You know what I mean? So just super talented wide receiver. He's a number 1, a bona fide number 1 receiver. So yeah, you can't lose your number 1. But definitely having him in the top 3, that's a no-brainer. So
yeah, no, it's definitely one of those things. It's just like, with CeeDee is so interesting because year 1, I think people were like kind of underwhelmed, but I mean, he had 900 yards as a rookie.
Yeah.
900, Joe.
Yeah.
Year 2, he had 1,000. Year 3, he took off. And I never forget the conversation last year was, how can CeeDee do this without Amari Cooper? He looked fine to me. And obviously, he learned from Amari Cooper. This is CeeDee Lamb's team. He's the one. Design your offense around CeeDee. And that's what I tell people about him, like versus like an AJ Brown and stuff like that. It's like, dude, the difference is you can put him literally, you can line CeeDee up all over the formation now because you have Boy Wonder who didn't do that and didn't use him to a skill set consistently. That's not CeeDee's problem. The skill set is there. You get what I'm saying to you?
Oh yeah.
And so that's just I'm just a huge fan of CeeDee, and the fact that he fell to us is awesome. All right, number 3 is Tony Pollard, Joe. Coming off that injury. What are your thoughts on Pollard? No more Zeke. He runs the room. What do you feel?
With Tony Pollard, it's a wait and see. It's to be determined for me because the injury is one of those types of injuries where how is he going to handle it? Is it going to be psychological? Does he trust the leg? Is that burst, that agility, elusiveness going to be there? Because that's what Tony Pollard was, elusive. That burst and the elusiveness is just like you can't replicate that. And if you lose a little bit of that, you'll notice real quick, like, this guy's not the same. So
yeah,
I am.
It happened in the San Fran game, Joe.
Yeah, it happens. So I'm not. I'm not automatically assuming, he'll be back 100%. I'm going into this as, we'll wait and see. You know what I mean? But in saying that, I hope the Cowboys are prepared, just in case he's not what he used to be. So if not, Cowboys, that'll be something that they're probably going to look for the following offseason.
They covered themselves with Rojo. Drafted Deuce Vaughn, who I believe Deuce Vaughn is going to have a big role this year because I just don't think that you'll be able to keep him off the field. It's too electric, right, Joe? But the injury is a real concern. Such a dirty tackle watching that
It
San
was.
Francisco game.
And
It was a
did they
piece of
outlaw
trash.
that, or I don't think they did, right?
They
They didn't
didn't, but
outlaw
they
that.
should.
They
They
need to
should, Joe.
because
Yeah, it's trash. But
it's gonna happen again.
him and CD they're your juice players, right?
Oh
They
yeah,
are your give you a burst. Now it'll be interesting because I think Dallas wants to keep Pollard at a certain number of touches, and I don't think that they're wrong. If you overuse a player like Pollard, maybe more injuries come up, maybe certain things come up. Short yardage package. I want to see what Dallas does for that. But this guy, Joe, again, we were on him at Memphis, Senior Bowl guy, and he's done nothing but come into the league and just be a stud. So I never forget, the first Philly game, he carved Philly up. The Chicago game, he was just outstanding. I mean, he's a really, really good player. And I'm like, and I like what Nick will do it is saying. It's the mental part. He's right. The mental part. Do you trust your body?
yeah.
I think Pollard is a well-spoken guy. I think he's a confident guy, but we just don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know, Joe. Will he come back and have the same juice? We don't know.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to, and we always talk about that in football. Football, that's a big part of the game, is the mental part of the game.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So,
yeah. Number 2 is Dak Prescott. I think that Dak. I'm gonna be straight to the point. Dak cannot turn the ball over next year. Has to clean it up. Was unacceptable this year. I think he does that. He gets back to the Dak Prescott that we know. I think that Mike McCarthy being a real play caller, somebody who's done this for years, who will help him help himself with play action, quick game, what Dak does well, scheme, if-then type scheme, Joe. If they do this, then we'll do this. We will set them up. We will scheme players open. That's what Mike McCarthy is known for, Joe Rodriguez.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
If we can do that, not to put your whole name out there, but make it. I like what John wants. Make it simple for Dak. He can make all the throws. Make it easy for the guy. Make it plain for him. I think that he can make full field reads. It's not stuff like that. It's the play calling needs to match what Dak does well. I don't think he's turnover prone, but I do think that it's an issue that he needs to attack, Joe. What are your thoughts on press?
No, I'm right there with you, man. The turnovers that he can't do it again this year. Otherwise, you're definitely having the conversation of
Have another conversation.
Is he falling off now? Is he, because we can't fool ourselves either. He's not getting any younger. He's one of the older quarterbacks starting in the league right now. So, but I'm with you. You let Mike McCarthy scheme this up, get it to the playmakers. Let Prescott just get the ball to the playmakers and let the playmakers take care of the business. And you should have a pretty good, successful season. Now if they don't scheme him up and exactly what you just said there, if we do the opposite, then we're talking about a whole different story. So the other thing I think 2 Foots is the receivers that they brought in here. I think you got rid of some of these guys that weren't so sure-handed, like Noah Brown, letting the ball hit off his hands. He's done that a couple of times, and some of these other receivers. So maybe that's part of the Tolbert situation. Do they trust him? Do they trust his hands? So that's where I'm a little bit concerned still about the wide receivers. I would like to get another body in here, but there just isn't anything out there. I was looking at free agents, and it's short pickings.
Yeah,
short pickings, man.
Joe.
So they're gonna roll with what they're going with. So they got to feel pretty confident. You know what I mean? Because they didn't address wide receiver till the end of the draft. So
I think that that'll be one of those situations, right? But I think that he has enough on the menu.
You know what I think is gonna be a guy that not enough people are talking about is Ferguson.
Yeah, Joe.
I think I as much as I like the Schoonmaker,
Schoonmaker.
I just feel that Ferguson's gonna have that second year leap, and the way he carries himself, he's kind of has that new age tight end swag to him. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying he's Kittle or these other guys or Kelsey, but he carries himself like if this guy keeps ascending, he will be potentially in that conversation. So I just love the way he catches the ball out of the air, man. You know, he's not a body catching tight end.
Really good call, Joe. Really good call.
So I mean, you get the ball to him, and I mean, you could be looking at the next, Dak tight end outlet better than I think he's gonna be better than Schultz. To be quite honest, man.
Yeah, he has softer hands than Schultz. He's a little smoother. The one that's really interesting is Schoonamaker because when you watch his film, I comped him to Mark Andrews. I mean, high level, high end. Whereas remember Andrews out of Oklahoma, right, Joe? I think he went to Oklahoma.
Andrews was
Mark Andrews. He plays with the Ravens.
Was he OU? I think he was.
Did Mark Andrews go to OU? I see somebody in here with the name Tony Snow. I like Tony Snow. He's one of my favorite artists. But yeah, listen, Andrews came in the league is just like a blocking big tight end. And before you know it, he was schemed up, seams down the middle of the field, all that type of stuff. And I remember when Baltimore had Hayden Hurst, that was like a nice 1-2 punch. And I think that Dallas can do something. Yeah, he went to Oklahoma. I think Dallas can do something similar to that, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's like, and you need a play caller who's been around. You got to understand, Mike's been doing this since he's been in the NFL over 20 years, right, Joe?
Oh yeah.
Like people don't want to give Mike McCarthy his credit, but he helped Aaron Rodgers to throw the ball like this. He helped develop Aaron Rodgers high level. He moved on from Brett Favre for Aaron Rodgers, high level, Joe. So the guy knows exactly. Hey, this is what Dak can do. This is what he should do. And I think that'll be interesting. I think that Dak will be fine. Joe. And when I say fine, the truth of the matter is this offense is what's going to carry this team. It's not the position. It's not the group that is the best. It's this defense. And the best player is on the defense, and that's number one.
Yep.
Everybody put their ones in the air. Everybody type a 1 in the chat. 1. Number 1 is Micah Parsons, number 11. For all the off-field antics, for all the Philly jerseys he wears, this, that, and the third. I love the guy. He wants to get better. You look at his face, you look at his body, he's still in shape. Joe, he's in great shape, actually. He loves football. When Mozzie Smith was drafted, the dude went crazy. Micah Parsons did. I think that the Cowboys did the right thing by building this defense around Micah Parsons. Mozzie Smith, Micah Parsons pick. Now we can push the pocket. Now those quarterbacks can't step up. Junior Fayoko, Mozzie pick. Take it away, Joe. Take the floor away.
I got to go back to the conversation we had with Okoye. Okoye brought this point up with Mozzie. How did Hutchinson and Ajabo have so much success?
Yeah.
And that resonated with me. And I still think about it right now.
Okoye is a sharp dude.
That's why I'm excited about Mozzie with Sam Williams, Parsons.
Yeah.
We have the potential to have a lot of feasting there from our edge guys. You know what I mean? When you put it in that context of, Hutchinson's badass. I mean, I think he's going to be another one of these high-end defensive ends. But to have that help in the middle, I mean, that makes your job a little bit easier, and you're able to be more effective in hitting the quarterback. And that's the name of the game, man. Get the quarterback on the ground. You know what I mean? So I'm with you, bro.
Yeah, no, I think that Mozzie, I think that Quentin Bohanna, the rotation in the D-line room. I was, and somebody who I really wanted to get to, and I'm going to do some film on, Joe. Fayoko, and I really think that they have a plan for Chauncey Golston. Remember that name, Joe. Chauncey Golston is going to have a big year. Here's why. I think that the vibes right now are that Neville, Joe. I don't know. You know what I mean?
No, I'm not expecting it. I'm really not. You know what I mean?
Why, Joe? Go take your time on that one.
Well, I mean, last year, they talked about. I mean, he was deactivated at one point. Remember that? So, and
That's
then there
never
was
good, Joe.
rumors, yeah, and rumors that maybe they were going to trade, drop. I don't know what, but it just hasn't worked out, man. It just hasn't been a good fit here. I know the injury was a big part of it too, but
Yeah,
um, just to see what they're doing here. And I'm with you. I think this Golston needs to have a really big third year here to cement himself, because I mean they had to have enough faith to let Watkins go, to let Tristan Hill walk. They got rid of him, so they like these guys and they feel very confident that they can fill in. That these guys that they let out the door. So um, big opportunity for Golston, and
yeah, yeah,
we'll see if he's able to capitalize on it, man. I'm hoping he will.
yeah. No, I just the in the film that I did see of Golston, he plays with his hands so well, Joe. At 3 tech, I think that he's gonna get calls up right after Osa is off the field. Mozzie's your starting one, so
Yeah,
that's what that looks like. You get drafted in the first. If you get drafted in the first round by the Dallas Cowboys, you're playing football. So get ready.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. Mozzie's your one. Schoonamaker's gonna be on the field, and so are Overshown. But Mozzie's your one technique. But now, you know, in spell time or in certain packages, I just want to see how they use Chauncey. Um, I like the way that I like his pop in his hands. I like the way that Chauncey goes and plays, Joe, and it'll be interesting to see. Joe, this has been a great conversation. Is there anybody else that you want to talk about, Joe, that was left off, or that you just may have, hey, I want to just talk about this said player that I'm really watching. I want to see his growth, Joe.
Um, the one that I think that I'm interested in look. I just talked about this in my last video as far as like your 2021 draft class.
Mm.
It's kind of up. It's kind of an up and down kind of
Go
draft.
over that class, Joe.
Well, you have Micah, right? Your headliner. Then you have in your second round you had Kelvin, which a lot of us
It's a dud, and
have
we
sound
we
on
we
that.
called a dud early.
Yeah, and then you got your three third rounders where you went, you know, you know, with a couple different players there, and you ended the third round with the Sean Wright, which a lot of us were scratching our head. So what I'm getting to is Osa is kind of like what we talked about. These guys that have been making incremental progress. I
Mm-hmm.
like what Osa did between rookie year and second year. So now third year, if Osa has that third year where he can be very impactful, like a Jason Hatcher at defensive tackle, man, we're gonna be in business right there. Because I feel that he's that body type, that type of player, like a Jason Hatcher. Once they finally found out how to use Jason Hatcher at the three
Yeah, I
ten,
remember Hatcher. Yeah,
but if he can be that, man, dude,
yeah,
that's gonna be good.
yeah. No, I think Osa's safe. He's continued to trend the right way. Neville, scares me. Another player, Joe, that I don't think a lot of people are talking about that I want to kind of touch on is Damone Clark, and here's why. I'm not as high on Damone Clark as everybody else, and we had some guys on the back end of the roster. Who's the linebacker we got last year in like the 6th round? Joe. Anyway, I think that Damone right now is in the driver's seat for that other linebacker position next to Leighton,
Yeah,
with Overshown playing reps. I think they might play Overshown in like Harper. I think they might play Overshown in a like overhang vibe, almost like a safety,
that's what I'm
and
saying.
just let him like run. But then who does that take off the field, Joe? Because you have 3 stud safeties. You have Donovan Wilson, who's a missile. They just paid Donovan Wilson. You love J. Ron Curse and you love Malik Hooker. So it's gonna be interesting now.
Donovan Wilson was a was an in-house still, man. The league fell asleep on that one right there, man.
Oh my God.
They fell
Yeah.
asleep on that. For us to keep Donovan Wilson, bro. Jeez, man,
He's
that's
our attitude.
he's the attitude, and he shows up for these. He's really good against the mobile quarterbacks that give us fits. You know what I mean? Uh, and I
Yeah.
love that. You know what I mean? Because the league is a lot about that misdirection, mobility at the quarterback position, and he's on them. He
Oh
sticks to
yeah.
them like honey, man. So I'm glad we kept that guy, man.
Yeah, dude. No, I completely agree, and I'm gonna tell you, and I like what FRK 180 saying, and I like what Tony Snow is saying. Overshown definitely feels like a playoff weapon. Tony Snow and FRK, it is a good problem to have. You know what's a great problem to have, guys? I'm not gonna lie to you, is competition at every position. So as
Mhm.
long as we continue to have that, like I was even thinking about like the guard and tackle positions. We haven't really got a good look at. Well, let's go, Joe.
Mhm.
Josh Ball, I think he's kind of falling out of favor,
Yep.
but it's a few guards at the back end of the roster that we got to talk about, Joe. The
Yep.
cornerback position is going to be interesting because who's your third corner? Bland should be in the lead for that, but you know, depends on certain packages, nickel the whole nine. What does he look like? Is that a safety vibe? He played a little bit of that last year, or is that a true corner? So it's going to be interesting this year, Joe. But I'm glad that we were able to get this show off the ground just to kind of talk about the importance of this roster and these players. Joe, you got your last player out the way. Is there anything else you want to touch on before we get out of here?
Oh, that's it, man. I'm excited about this season. Like we were talking about offline, I think it's never a dull moment in Cowboys Nation. The schedule is interesting. It's pretty tough to be quite honest, and I think the division got better, so it's gonna be some fun football games, man. I'm telling you now, it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah,
It's gonna
Joe.
be
I can't wait. Like you said, schedule release was fire. OTAs this week. I'm sure news will be coming out. And I'll be doing some of that stuff. Hey, you guys, if you're here, go to your Spotify. Add me on Spotify. Add us on Apple Music, Foots and Codes. We just dropped a project. It's really good. Just show some love. Thank you guys for 30K. I'm tired. I'm pretty sure that Joe is. We'll listen back to this in the morning. Cat mode, Foots the King, Gerald Beasley. Hello to you, April. Let's do a shout out to everybody, Joe. Dwight Davis. Who else you seeing here, Joe? Lavish Londo. We just gonna show love. Cleveland. Hey, Cleveland. Cleveland Brown, Dominique Turner. Talk your ish. Talk your talk media. Who's all in here? Hey, C Nicole, how you doing? Troy Dudley. Man, much love to all y'all, man. Andrew. Nickel Do It, 68 One Boy. Shout out to everybody, Joe.
yeah.
Little
Shout out to
impromptu
everybody, man.
vibes, man.
Congrats on the 30K, bro. Like that is awesome stuff right there, bro.
Thank you, bro. And Joe, guess what? I'll be on your channel soon. Just let me know when you need me. And I got you. Joe, plug your stuff so we can get on out of here, my brother.
Yeah, guys, you can find me on YouTube. Just look it up here, Cowboys Blog, and then here's my Twitter handle, Cowboys Blog Net. Hey, shout out
Yeah.
to everybody in the chat box, man. Shout out to my boy Foots. Can't do this without him, man. Great conversation.
Hey, that's it. That's all. Until next time, for Joe, I'm Foots the King. Peace.